Hello, welcome to It's Your Life, and welcome to the first show, our first show of 2023. Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year. I tell you, I'm excited about the show today because I got a young man that's been on the show before. It's so inspirational that it's just incredible. The enthusiasm, the everything about this young man. We sometimes we have challenges. We go through an issue or a problem, and sometimes it's kind of hard to get back on your feet. And I'm talking about really face those things, and also mentally. And this guy right here, I tell you, you just sit back, incredible. And I'm gonna share. I want to lock the radio station in along with the television at the same time. So Todd, let's do it.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the James Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and to overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, James Cooley.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. Regardless of whether you're watching on E360 TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, or over 20 plus other live streaming network, or you're listening to it on KCBQ, AM 1170 Answer, FM 96.1 The Answer, San Diego. How you doing, Todd? How you doing?
Always good. Happy New Year's, James.
Happy New Year to you, my friend. And I believe that this is going to be an absolutely fantastic year. Not saying 2022 wasn't fantastic, but 2023 is going to be better. So that's where we at right now. I've got Dr. Michelle Denise Cooley on the phone. How are you doing, Doctor?
I'm doing fine, Dr. Cooley. How are you?
I am doing just fine. It's so happy to be back here I'm talking about just being back, beginning the new year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just absolutely fantastic. And so, what are your thoughts about this young man that's going to be on the show today?
Well, like you mentioned, he was a previous guest on our show a couple of times, and he's very inspirational, motivating. And, he's got a lot of things to share with us. And I'm really excited that he's back on the show.
I am too. And I tell you what, Michelle, I want to go ahead and get this started because I am excited about the journey and all the great things that this young man is doing. So, can you please tell our viewers and our listeners the title of the show, the purpose of the show, and introduce this great man?
Oh, most definitely. So the title of the show is Walking Towards Your Challenges. And the purpose is getting to know public and motivational speaker Robert Paylor and talk about the power of perspective and how to control our mindsets. He's also going to be discussing the importance of community and developing a life with purpose. So let's remind the audience and the listeners about this young man. So in 2017, Collegiate Rugby National Championship, Robert Paylor broke his neck and his life changed in an instant. Immediately, he was deemed a quadriplegic and was told he would never walk or move his hands again. Through an unbreakable vision, relentless determination, Robert is defying the odds. He's graduated from UC Berkeley and is on the journey to walk again and is sharing his method of how he overcame quadriplegia. Every person faces challenges. Roberts are just visible. The skills Robert uses to overcome paralysis can be used by all to optimally perform and live with positively. His message is one that inspires others to assess their full potential and conquer their challenges, no matter how daunting they may seem. The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, welcomes back Robert Paylor to the show.
How you doing, my friend? Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So excited to be here. Dr. Michelle, Dr. JC, thank you so much for having me. So excited to kick off this year with a bang.
Man, we so happy to have you. When I got in touch and you accepted, man, I was jumping up and down, because, man, I love hearing your story. I love how you encourage and how you just enlighten folks, because the challenges that many of us have. Sometimes we just want to lay down and just be pitied. That's not Robert. That's
No.
that's not Robert. So first of all, Robert, can you tell our listeners and our viewers that a little bit about your show? But before we do that, if you want to call in and be part, that's 1-866-577-2473. That's again, you can call in the radio station at 1-866-577-2473. Yeah, so Robert, can you just remind our listeners, tell them a little bit about you, the birth, and also the best word that described you and why.
Yeah, so I'll start off with just a little bit about myself. So I'm a Northern California native from the Sacramento area, and growing up, it was hot summers and sports. I'm a lifelong athlete. Kind of grew up playing the traditional three American sports: football, basketball, baseball. But when I was in high school, I found the sport of rugby. Now, I didn't even know what the sport was till I got into high school, let alone how it was played and the rules of the game, the history of the game, anything like that. But my high school out of Sacramento, Jesuit High School, is the most successful high school rugby program in America. Teams from all over the world come over to compete against us with more national championships than any other single school program in the history of American rugby for the high school level. So I had a knack for being a physical player, which was a decent, good athlete in the sports I was playing, and decided to give it a shot. And it was the greatest decision that I ever made. I took an immediate love to the sport. I got MVP my first year playing, and went on to be captain of the team, and we saw a lot of success. And then eventually got my shoulder tapped to go play for UC Berkeley for the Cal men's rugby team. Cal at the time, I believe, has had 33 national championships is where we're at. So you can look at any team, any level, any sport, and I think the only team that has more championships than us is the Harlem Globetrotters, and their games are rigged. So we were doing okay. I was pretty excited about it. But yeah, my dreams were unfolding for me in life, and we'll talk a little bit more about that story and how it unfolds. But eventually I've been brought over, to this point in my career as an inspirational speaker, sharing my story and sharing the tools that have helped me to overcome my challenges that others can use. And I think to answer that second question there, the one word that I would use to describe me is fortitude. That's a word that I take a lot of passion and pride in. And the definition of fortitude is perseverance in adversity and pain. And I think that in a lot of ways, fortitude is the key to happiness. And if we continue to persevere through our challenges and maintain that positivity through it all, then we can certainly overcome anything that comes our way, even if it may not be how we thought it would unfold initially.
Wow, fortitude, man. That is a very powerful word, and most of us need to follow in that footstep. So Robert, 2022. How was it for you, and what is your immediate plan for 2023?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think 2022 was a year of getting tools, mental tools. I had the good opportunity to work in the nonprofit space for UC Berkeley, and just gained a lot of managerial skills, just work skills. I graduated in 2020, so I've been out for a couple of years, and I'm really just trying to build up my tool set that I can then go out and use in the world. And in 2022, I saw some really incredible rehab progression. I'm standing up out of my wheelchair or my bed, probably doing 5 times the reps that I was doing in the beginning of 2022. My endurance has picked up. And just on the last day, I went to go set a final PR for the year, and I was able to walk 450 yards in my house. That's a far cry from what we'll discuss in this conversation of when my doctor told me I'd be lucky if I could just pick up a piece of pizza and feed myself. I've seen incredible progress there. And now finally speeches in person and being able to travel across the country and meet new people. 2022 gave me a lot, and I'm excited to take that into 2023, doubling down, spending more time in speaking, hoping to get a book over the line and working on that process, and continuing to share this message and continue to pursue my rehabilitation goals and share that with everybody so that they can use that as fuel to pursue their goals as well.
Wow. I mean, you're an inspiration to all of us. And I want you to explain to the audience and our viewers about that day on May 17th. Can you bring them to light on what happened that day?
Yeah, certainly a transformational day in my life. The day was May 6th of 2017. And, it's funny how the same day means different things to different people. For some people, that was their birthday or an anniversary. For me, it was something very different. It was the day of the Collegiate Rugby National Championship. I was starting as a sophomore for the team, thinking this was going to be the best day of my life. As a lifelong athlete, you dream of the moments when you get to compete on the highest stage. And I was there. I had reached that stage. And when you're a national champion, you're not just a national champion for the day. You're a national champion for your entire life. So I had a lot of anticipation of this day and felt very prepared. But it was very early on in this game that I was competing in a mall. And for those of you who don't know rugby, a mall is when the bigger guys, we group together in a single unit and we push to advance the ball. The defense's job is to come straight in and stop us from pushing forward. It's a boiler room. It's where the big guys thrived. And I was a big guy, 6'5", about 245 pounds. I was put on this earth to move people, just moving people that don't want to be moved. And we're 5 meters out from scoring this thing. I mean, I'm practically drooling here on this field trying to drive this thing in. But as I'm doing this, the opposing players, they start making illegal moves and the referee's not calling anything. So player enters in from the side, something that you're not supposed to do, but the ref doesn't call it. And then number 8, he binds me in a headlock. He's pinning my chin down to my chest. Now, normally this would be an automatic yellow or red card in rugby, an immediate suspension from the game, but the ref doesn't call it. Another player comes in and he chops me down by my legs. I start riding down. I close my eyes, I grip my teeth, and then snap. I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't move anything. I was lying there completely numb and motionless, wondering what just happened to me. And I'd been thrust into my worst nightmare, and there was no waking up.
Wow, this is incredible, and that's right there. That just brings a chill to probably anybody listening to this conversation. But can you start this? Because we're gonna take a break in about a minute. After that happened, and you knew, and the doctors told you what had happened, did you immediately just push back or settle, or you said, I'm going to beat this, or whatever that is?
I said, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to give it absolutely everything I have to get absolutely everything I can get. Because the doctor's prognosis was grim. He said, Robert, you'll never walk again. You'll never move your hands. You'll be lucky if one day you can pick up a piece of pizza and feed yourself. That's if you survive this potentially life-threatening surgery of spinal fusion. I didn't have like the doctor on my side. I didn't have the odds on my side. I didn't have signs of hope showing up really. But I had immense faith that if I gave it everything I had, that I would sleep peacefully at night, and that I would have all the progress that I needed to be able to live a really fantastic, amazing life.
Why don't you hold that thought? We're gonna take a station break, but when we come back, I want to pick it up right there.
Yeah.
And if you want to be part of this conversation, a couple of ways you can do. You can call 1-866-577-2473, or you can go to the comments and just ask this great man any question that you want, and I promise to get it up on the screen and get your answer. Remember, it's your life. We'll be back shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Hi, I'm Todd Pierick, the producer of The James Cooley Show. It's Your Life.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. when you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do.
Is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James Cooley is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation. Dr. Cooley is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, Dr. James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to It's Your Life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and as you see, Dr. Michelle Cooley. Got a fantastic guest, Robert here. Just love chatting with this man, and just you can feel the inspiration that he brings, and even though many of us get challenged, we have to be able to look past the dark moments that might affect us at that particular time, and start thinking, how do I fix this? How can I get back on track? And Robert is just like I said, Fortitude, just a walking, I call it hope, enthusiasm, and everything else that goes along with that. So Robert, just like I just mentioned about the dark side, sometimes we on the dark side because we like why me?
Yeah.
If we stayed there, it's going to be like that for the rest of our life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners what inspired you immediately, especially once you got the news from the doctor that this ain't gonna get me? Whatever they tell me, it ain't gonna happen because I'm going to make it happen because it's all about mindset.
Yeah. What helped me was having a really strong foundation. It was the preparation that I had done before I broke my neck that helped me when I broke my neck. And a lot of that was through sports, and specifically building up mental toughness. Now, on the Cal rugby team, we had a glossary of terms that we would use to define certain things. We all knew that we were on the same page when we were communicating with each other. And we defined mental toughness as the ability to focus on the next most important thing. So in the context of rugby, if you drop a ball, if you miss a tackle, you need to be able to move on to the next moment, the thing that's happening right now, not dwelling on the past and letting your mindset get stuck over there. You need to be focused on the present. That mental toughness notion and definition got put to the ultimate test when I broke my neck, because I wanted to be angry. I wanted to be lost in my emotions, thinking, what the heck just happened to me? When a doctor's saying, you're not going to walk again, you're never going to move your hands. My mind wanted to freak out, and it wanted to panic. It didn't want to have to make a decision on if I wanted to go into a spinal fusion surgery, I had to make that decision in just 30 minutes. There was so much going through my mind, but because of that strong foundation I had built up, I could kind of take a deep breath, focus on what I needed to focus on in that moment, the next most important thing, and make a clear-headed decision. I knew one thing, and that's that I wanted to walk again. Being able to just pick up a piece of pizza wasn't enough for me to have ambition and purpose in my life. I needed to endeavor for more. And in that moment, I needed to go into the spinal fusion surgery. There was much more that I needed to focus on rather than just simply panic. And I think that foundation of athletics that I had built up previously really helped me take on that challenge.
Wow. So Robert, during the process where, you had the mental toughness and, you had family, friends, and probably people telling you, when you were, let's say when you were at your lowest, and even though they mean well for you, was it hard for them to understand what you were going through? And like sometimes did you feel like you needed to kind of be alone and kind of figure out your thoughts, not to feel sorry for yourself, but kind of figure out, okay, let me get my head right. Even though they're being helpful, maybe I just need them to step away for a little bit. What are your thoughts? Did you experience that, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's good to have balance in a situation like that. On one hand, I was in a situation where I needed a lot of help, physically and mentally. Of course, physically, right? I couldn't move my body. I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't scratch my nose. There was hardly anything I could do for myself. So I needed people to be there with me throughout those moments. And there are also times when I really, really need people to be there for me mentally, be there for me emotionally. If I were just to be sitting in a hospital room by myself, not being able to move my body, I mean, I just can't even think of, where my thoughts would have gone and the depression that I would have felt, just feeling so hopeless and alone. When my teammates came to visit me, when my family, my friends, when complete strangers came to visit me, giving me their love, giving me their support, believing in me when maybe I didn't believe in myself, that kept me moving forward. And but I also needed those moments where I could be with myself to really come to terms with what happened, because optimism is a really important thing to have. But realism is an important thing to have as well. There were a lot of people who I met who had a similar thing, like what happened to me, happened to them. And they would kind of say, oh, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to walk again. That everything's going to be okay. I'm not a quadriplegic. This isn't really happening the way that it's being explained to me. And, these people, because they're not realistic about their current reality and situation, they don't put in the work that needs to happen to get to that optimistic future that they have. And I think sometimes those moments when I could be by myself a little bit, stew in those thoughts and grapple with those fears, that I could come to a really realistic expectation of where I was, where I wanted to be, and the realistic steps and significant amount of work that it was going to take to get there.
Wow. So all the work that, it took, and you put in, and you told the doctor, so you defied the odds. With all that work, what did it feel like when you first began to walk again? I'm talking about that. This guy told you that you wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
And just like you mentioned earlier, you 15 laps. That's great, and it's probably just gonna get better and better.
It will.
Can you tell our viewers and our listeners what it was like being able to walk for the first time again?
Yeah, this is a really interesting question, because my answer, I don't think, is what most people would expect. So I took my first steps after my injury about 8 months after I was injured. At that time, I had just building up a skyscraper brick by brick, trying to build up small little movements and getting my synapses to finally connect once again. And it came to the moment where I was building up some strength and some movement. And my physical therapists were saying, let's get you into a walker and start taking some steps. Let's take your first steps for a second time. And of course, I had been anticipating this moment more than anything in my entire life. I'm thinking, this is the Super Bowl. This is the A++++ on that big final you were studying for. This is everything. Once I can walk again, I can be happy and I can enjoy life. And so I got into my walker. I was in the basketball stadium over at Craig Hospital in Denver, Colorado, where I was doing my rehabilitation. And I strained. I was being cautious, but I strained, and that step went forward and like boom, like planted into the feet inches in front of me, and it happened. And I did it again. And I was actually able to get all the way down the basketball court and back. And then I sat into my chair. I gave my physical therapist high fives and fist bumps, and then I was like, "Nice job, Rob. Okay, now go to your next workout." And I was thinking, okay, I did it. And then at the end of the day, I was kind of like, wait, like that's it? Like I thought this was going to be a life-changing moment for me, that everything would change. And I kind of realized like, wow, we can't wait for one thing to happen in our lives before we allow ourselves to be happy. Because I could have spent an entirety of 8 months just thinking, man, everything's going to be good when I can walk again. So I can just kind of put my head down, not appreciate what I have in this given moment, because I don't have that. And I could spend the rest of my life currently thinking everything will be okay when I don't need to use my wheelchair ever again. And a lot of us might have that expectation in our lives. I think it's a common thing for us to have, to kind of delay satisfaction in our lives. I think it's important to have goals. And I think it's important to be excited about those goals and realize that achieving those goals will give us something, but it won't give us everything. We do have to be able to appreciate what we have right now, in a sense. We have to be able to see the great things we have in our lives, because every moment is truly a gift. And I realized, through taking my first steps, that I need to be able to be happy right now with what I have, in this current moment.
Wow. We're going to take a station break, but when I get back, I'm going to ask a tough question, because your injury happened and another person caused that. I want to talk to you to find out, have you contacted that person? That person contacted you, what it was like. So when we get back from the break, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a lot of other things. If you want to be part of this conversation, that's 1-866-577-2473. Again, that's 1-866-577-2473. But you can also go to the comments and ask any question you want to. It's your life. We'll be back shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
There's much truth in a journey that ain't over yet, as all of us journey through life's precious.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
watch you fight again. And if you want my opinion, I let it take me away. Only relief is the 4 on the floor and the crowd that goes, turn it up, 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 turn it up.
Is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation. Dr. Cooley is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Your life, Dr. James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to It's Your Life, and I'm just sitting here just having fun, just chatting with this great man, and just listening to his story. And I hope that you are doing the same thing. And it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of inner self. It takes a lot of mindset, or sometimes changing the way that we think in order for us to get back on track, stay on track, and continue to grow. And this man right here has showed all of us that 15 laps, 400 yards. When they tell you you're not going to be able to do anything, that's incredible. And it's going to get better because his mindset is, I will be the best that I can be. That might take me a little time, but I'm going to get there. So if you want to be part of this conversation, a couple of ways. You can call to the radio station at 1-866-577-2473 or go to the comments, and just whatever mechanism that you're watching this on, and just ask us any questions that you like. Robert, tough question right here. So it's like I was saying right before the break, this injury happened because of another person. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we find it hard to forgive or even think about that. And many of us accumulate I guess I hate to use the word hate or whatever. Can you tell us, since this happened, have you seen, contact, or heard from this individual? And can you tell us how you felt, how you feel now about that incident?
Yeah, this is a tough question. It's a question that I grappled with for a very long time, because, like you said, what happened to me was illegal. I was wrapped around my head into an illegal headlock, and that force was continued all the way to the ground, eventually causing my paralysis. And you can bet when I was looking at pictures and videos of someone wrenching me down illegally and breaking my neck, I wanted to hate this person. I had so many negative emotions towards this person, and there were times when I wanted this person to hurt like I was hurting in those moments. And this guy, I mean, he has never reached out to me, actually. He's never said he's sorry. It's been 2,068 days since my neck was broken, and I haven't heard a word. But I forgive him whether he's sorry or not, because I realized that the more hate I gave to this person, the more power I gave to him, the less power I had for myself. It wasn't until I made that real conscious decision to forgive this person that I could finally be relieved of all that anger. And I'll be honest with you, it wasn't some flip of the switch thing. Like I said that I forgave him, and then immediately all those negative emotions were gone. No, people would ask me, Robert, what do you think about this guy? What's your take? And I would say, I forgive him and I wish him well. But within me, I was still holding on to a lot of anger and a lot of animosity. But as time went on, I never missed a beat. I always said, I forgive him. I wish him well. I forgive him. I wish him well. And as the days added up into weeks and months and years, that animosity, it slowly went down, and that hatred just slowly vanished, where here I am today, completely having been able to move on from that, not looking behind me, but looking forward, because that's where I'm going, and being just relieved of anything that would attach me to the past or negative emotion, in control of my mindset, because I made that conscious choice that wasn't easy to make and did it over time. I think forgiveness is just always the answer for any of us.
Wow. It definitely is. It's really forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. And, I think one of the most important things of forgiveness, and just tell me that you experienced that, you're a motivational speaker, and as you state, one of the most important things of healing is to let go of the anger, bitterness, resentment, whether it's towards you or towards somebody else, because how you feel mentally and spiritually, it does affect you physically. And I'm so happy that you don't think about it anymore. You don't think about it, and it goes away. You're like, wow, I haven't thought about it. But one of the things that's most important, do you agree, is that people stop bringing up the other person, because I feel that when you make your peace, not that you're denying that it didn't happen or this person didn't do it, but we're human. We don't need to be constantly reminded of it. So those around your inner circle, and it's all positive. It's like, okay, Robert, we're going to just focus on great things going forward. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely. I think it really, that kind of mindset that you're talking about, an approach to life, really ties into having a good mental diet. And we all understand the physical diet, right? It's nasty in, nasty out, or if we eat well, our bodies perform better. And I think the same thing goes for our minds. And the more we take in negative information, or we willingly interact with a situation that we know is going to bring us down, we know is going to make us feel negative, the more negative we're going to be as people, and the less able we are to move on, to take on life's challenges. There was a real conscious effort when people would want to grapple with these issues that affected me, that put me in a place where I didn't want it to be, that I had to be able to kind of dismiss these things, to maybe give the short answer and simply move on, not because I'm trying to ignore the situation, but like you said, I'm trying to focus on something positive as I'm going through what is really a grieving situation. I think it's important for us to grapple to those issues to an extent, but not so much to where we get tied up and we just can't move forward. We have to have a good intentional audit of that kind of information and energy that's working its way into our mindset, because it reflects in our attitude and how we act.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you think about it, like it's like, why would I want to think of something that makes me miserable or angry? What's the purpose in that? So you're a motivational speaker. It's a part A and B question. First, when it was proposed to you, or when you're doing it, were you a little nervous? And what message or messages do you decide to speak on? Of course, your story, but how do you tailor each message to the venue and the audience that you're talking to?
Yeah. So, in terms of me getting on this endeavor of inspirational speaking, it really kind of came to me at first. There's a lot of people who are saying, "Robert, you have this great story. You tell it really well." There's a lot of people out there who are hurting, and they need inspiration. They need tools in your lives. Think about sharing your story with them. So I had a real consolidated effort at my personal rehabilitation. But once I returned back to UC Berkeley, one of my professors and a great friend of mine presented the opportunity for me to come speak to his class. He said, "Robert, there's a lot of people in this class who have challenges. We can all see your challenges, but for most people, we can't see what we're going through. But this approach that has helped you to overcome quadriplegia, I think it can help them overcome what they're going through as well." So I sat down with my coach many, many times, and thinking about how to tell this story, but more importantly, how to communicate the tools that have helped me to overcome my challenge, talking about things like perspective and how do we control our mindsets, and how do we develop purpose in our lives, and be able to live with positivity regardless of the things that happen to us. I got over and prepped for that speech, and I was nervous, but I was excited too. It's kind of like those pregame jitters that I would get before a sporting event. And I remember giving this presentation, and they're laughing and they're crying, and it's a standing ovation in the end. I'm thinking, man, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is my purpose, because when I got hurt, my purpose at that time was rugby. It was being a good athlete, and I lost that purpose, and it seemed like it was never going to come back. But when I saw the impact that sharing this story was able to make on the lives of others, I retained that purpose in my life. I found something new, and decided I just need to go all in on this, because being able to give this to others gives me so much. So that's kind of how this endeavor all began. And in terms of tailoring it to the audience, that's me working with the event manager, and talking to people and the unique challenges that they're going through. This injury has certainly given me a large toolbox. So there's plenty of tools for me to bring over to an event to share with groups and individuals.
Wow. I know we got a break coming up in about a minute, but I got a 3-part question. First of all is, what would you like before this happened? How much of this positive outlook and optimism that came from the DNA? Mm-hmm. And the third question is, did your friends that truly know you, your friends, family, did they know that that was your attitude or going to be your attitude? If we can just start that off and pick it up when we get back from the break. We've got about 30 seconds.
Yeah. So I have always been a positive person and an optimistic person. I think that my upbringing gave that to me. I played for a lot of high performing teams where we strived to be the best, that we weren't just going to be mediocre. We were going to go through it all, for it all. And that requires a positive mindset to be able to achieve an endeavor like that. And in terms of, my friends and their expectations of how I would deal with this, I don't know exactly.
Hold that question, because we're going to pick that up when we get back. And I wanted to get it started because it's a 3-part question, and we got a lot more coming your way. And if you want to be part of this great conversation, all you have to do, 1-866-577-2473, or go to the comments, ask this great man any question you want to. We'll be back shortly after the break. It's Your Life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley. The J.C. Cooley Foundation is a
We are not a charity. We are veterans. We are warriors, brothers, and sisters. We don't need, we deliver. OpsForVets.com. Handshakes, not handouts.
I'm Albert Rencheria, Marine Chief Warrant Officer 4 retired, Ops for Vets CEO. I invite you to take a look at our organization. You'll quickly understand why out of thousands of groups currently serving our veterans, we have become the most rapidly growing and opportunity-rich team in the market. We have deployed dynamic distributors who are responsible for servicing and growing their regions, East, Central, and West. We provide a complete roster of high-caliber services, produced to create the results you require. Find us on the web at www.opsforvets.com. Handshakes, not handouts.
Dr. Cooley is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, Dr. James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back. Welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, and this remarkable guest that I have on the show today is it's just incredible to have him back because it's been about 18 months. Since you were last on the show. Hey, Todd, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Todd. Hey, man, what do you think about this so far, my friend?
It's a great show, and you know the thing is that it's just amazing how people react to certain situations. Some people, in this situation could just not want to do anything else, but Robert took his what happened to him, and now it motivates him, and he's out talking with people, and it's just it's amazing to see how people act on different situations, and Robert rose to the occasion, and it's amazing what he's doing.
And he's doing a lot of great things, man. Going around inspiring folks, talking to folks, uplifting people, encouraging people that regardless of what that is, sometimes we have to be able to switch our mindset. And I'm just so happy, Robert, that you're doing these great things. And so, I know I'm encouraged always. And I want to pick it back up with the question I asked about, there's a lot of this positivity, optimism coming from DNA. And what are your friends and family? Did they know immediately once you kind of recovered a little bit that you was going to be the great positive person that you are today, and that you was not going to let challenges stop you from whatever your goals are?
Yeah, so to kind of pick up where I left off in terms of, how did my family and friends think I was going to react to this? How's it all played out the way that they thought it would initially? And of course, I don't know exactly what they're thinking. But I think that a lot of them expected to walk into that hospital room and see me for the first time and see a person who was broken physically and mentally. My life had just been turned upside down. The prognosis was very bleak. There was every reason to just kind of sink into that depression and make no attempt to get out of it. And when my friends came into that room, I was myself. I was still me, and I was cracking jokes, and I had a smile on my face, and I was enjoying the company of my friends and the company of my family. And I think that's something that I'm most proud of throughout this injury and the challenges that is presented to me, is that I've always still just maintained who I am. I didn't let this injury change me for the worst or determine what I would do for my life. I've taken ownership of it, and I haven't let me get me down. Of course, I've had my bad moments, but I try to never have a bad day. And my mom, told me this story later, that my friends and teammates, they walked out of that hospital room so much different than when they walked in. When they came in, they were somber. They're about to see their friend, their brother, their teammate in a really broken state. But I think when they saw that I wasn't going to let this beat me, it gave them hope. And, they just continued to send me texts and give me phone calls, stay in touch, to let them know that they believe in me. And that in turn gave me such a reciprocal cycle that we had to keep me moving forward and hopefully be able to give some hope and inspiration to them as well. But it was certainly a choice. And there were some times when I had to fake it till I make it. And that's not bad either, right? Sometimes it's okay to choose positivity even when we're not feeling it, because it certainly helped for me. But it was some conscious decisions I had to make to just realize that this injury isn't going to change who I am.
Wow. So you talked about earlier when first, I think we might have been in the green room. You talked about setting ambitious goals versus reality. Both have to kind of match
Mhm.
up in a certain way. Can you explain that to our viewers and our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of in terms of creating a vision. And I think we all had to have a vision in our lives, and we all had to have ambitious, bold goals that we look to achieve. I mean, set those goals high, something that motivates you, something that makes you want to get up out of bed. When that doctor set the goal of me being able to simply feed myself again, that wasn't the motivation I needed to pursue through this injury. That wouldn't keep me going for the now 2,068 days that I've been pursuing this goal of being able to walk again. I needed something ambitious. And that goal that I set on day one was me not needing to use my wheelchair ever again. Whether that's me using a walker, me using a cane, crutches, or nothing at all, that was my goal. Man, it was bold. It was 1% or less probably that I would be able to achieve that based on the statistics. Then I was willing to put in work and effort, time to being an outlier in those statistics, and then just praying to God that that I had the luck to and the blessings to be able to make that happen. And so I had that bold goal on one end. But on the other end, I was also very realistic about my situation. There were a lot of people I met who weren't realistic about their situation. They wanted the same outcome as I did, but they weren't realistic about the work that it took to get there. They thought, I'm going to be okay. Just give me a couple weeks and I'm going to be walking out of this hospital, sort of in denial. When we don't have a solid understanding of where we are, it's very difficult to create the pathway mentally to where we want to be. So for me, I realized that what happened to me was tragic. It was catastrophic, and it was going to take a lot of work and a lot of luck for me to get there. And I was signing up for a commitment that I would likely be working towards for years, potentially my entire life. I knew that and how much work it took, but I had such a clear understanding of where I wanted to be, that was kind of the fuel to my fire that kept me going. And it's kept me going, for over 5.5 years now. I think anybody could do this for a week or a couple of months, but it gets really taxing, when you start adding it up into multiple years. But I maintain a strong vision, and it propels me forward.
Wow. Can you tell us about your support system, not just the doctors that it's their job to do the best they can for, help you through rehabilitation, but the other people like your coaches, your family, etc., that you depend on them for support, for mental capacity. Can you tell us, our listeners, a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. The support I've received is critical, and I certainly wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for the people who got me here. I think it's kind of this common assumption, especially maybe in American culture, that the tough or the gritty thing to do when adversity strikes us is to not ask for help, to just assume that burden on our own shoulders and keep marching forward. And in reality, I think that's the last thing that we should do, because when we work with others, there's so much more that we can achieve. My mom slept on a chair by my bedside every single night for 2 months. 2 months, she slept in a chair, and she was someone to talk to. She would scratch my nose when it itched, and she wiped my tears when I cried. She pumped down on my lungs, over on my diaphragm, to get the mucus out of my lungs when I was battling pneumonia, because she said that she couldn't just stand there and watch her son die. I couldn't have done it without her. I couldn't have done it without my teammates, my family, and my friends coming to visit me in the hospital, giving me their love, giving me the support, giving me the power of their belief in me. I couldn't have done it without my therapists. I couldn't have done it without my coaches when I returned to Cal, and my teammates helping me navigate Berkeley's campus. I wouldn't have graduated if it weren't for the help of my rugby team. And I wouldn't be able to pursue my goals today if it weren't for the people who continue to rally around me, for my mom, for my girlfriend, for these living angels that are in my life, putting me up on their shoulders and keeping me moving forward. But here's the thing: I have to ask for help too, and I have to be willing to accept help when it's offered up to me. Even though I don't like having to ask for help and I wish I could just do everything independently, I need to realize, and we all need to realize, that we can't do everything on our own. There's so much more that we can achieve when we do it in community with others. So I recommend to everyone to always think about who you can be working with in a given situation and who you can lean on for support, because I believe that the sports out there, sometimes more clearer than others, but it's there, and we always ought to use it because there's so much more we can do when we do.
So we down to the last couple of minutes, but I have to always throw this in. What would, if you could, 30 seconds left if you can, what would Robert today, January 2023, if he could go back and tell Robert that was there in May 2017, what would he tell him?
I would say to be grateful for every moment, because there were a lot of times when I was in that hospital bed and I was thinking, how can I be grateful for anything? And how could I possibly pull any sort of positive out of this situation? I was fighting for my life. I couldn't move anything. How is it even possible? And when I look back on everything that I've been through, there was always something to be grateful for. I had my mind, I had myself, I had my family, I had my friends. I always had something to be positive about. And when I go through my darkest moments, it might not just flip a switch and put a smile on my face, but it does keep me moving forward to realize that our lives are a gift. Every day is a gift, and we ought to treat each moment like that, with gratitude.
Got to. And man, we out of time, but you know what? Let me tell you, you can come on my show anytime. You can come on my show anytime. So I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show. I'd like to thank KCBQ, my producer Tyrant. I'd like to thank my executive producer, Dr. Michelle Cooley. Most important, I'd like to thank our listeners for taking the time to tune into the James Cooley Show. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life. Let's see you tomorrow.